Linda, it's all yours.
Time?
He's
Not
gonna
yet.
Start, you let him know, he's gonna start at 1 o'clock, okay? So,
Okay.
at 1 o'clock,
1 minute.
1 minute.
Are you gonna go?
She'll be ready.
Ready? No, I don't have it. Ready? Good afternoon. My name is Linda Jackson, and I work in the Division of Pay and Benefits. And today, we have brought Mr. Dave Walter, a Senior Vice President and Financial Advisor with RBC Wealth Management in Columbia, Maryland, in to be our guest speaker on financial information. Mr. Walter has done courses in many Maryland colleges, including Towson, Howard County Community College, UMBC, and Montgomery College. He currently provides lectures on retirement to a few federal agencies around us, NSA, CIA, here at CMS and Social Security, and also at the Verizon Corporation. He has 38 years of experience in financial planning and investment management. The majority of his clientele are federal employees, and he is very well versed in our retirement plans of CSRS, FERS, and also TSP information. So if everybody can welcome Dave. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
I need to give a warm welcome to our regional offices and the field offices who might be online or virtual or listening. And we'll have a time for Q&A as well for them. You know what, we have a small group. You want to sneak in a little bit? Make it into the yes, no, and you're going to sit. What would you like? You want to stay where you are? All right, let me give you background on me so you know where I'm coming from. I grew up in Burtonsville. Does everybody know where Burtonsville, Maryland is? Mom and Dad lived there in '61, sold their homestead in 2001, so I'm a local yokel. My wife, Patty, is an oncology nurse. That's a big deal. That's my house wife. Patty does or brings to the kitchen table a lot of horror stories on the other side of the fence, i.e. cancer. I have been doing this for now on my 39th year, and I've got an awful lot of stories home to the kitchen table about where folks don't have two nickels to rub together and maybe in a financial bind in regards to their retirement circumstances. So it's a nice, happy medium that we bring to the table. I have 3 boys, some older than some of you would guess. The gray hair is nice. I have David, who's 35, Ron, who's 32. I have Michael, who's 30. I have 3 grandchildren, so I'm a little bit older. And I've done college deal, and some of you have. It's all about retirement now, preparing for retirement. That's my contention, that we all go to work for every day. Yes, it might be to pay for vacations, buy things for the house, and do other sundry type of items. But the bottom line is we go to work to do what? Hopefully retire someday. Now, you need to know my philosophy. My philosophy is KISS, keep it simple, sweetheart. Use common sense. The fancier you get with your investments, I promise you, the more money you'll lose. By the way, I've heard more tips than you can shake a stick at in the 39 years I've been in my office. I would tell you the overwhelming majority, 99.9% of all tips never pan out. Am I good now? Is that better? Okay. All right, thanks. So 99.9% of the tips never work out. I'm a big believer in pay yourself first. I'm going to beat you up a little bit today about doing that. I may touch some nerves. It doesn't matter to me. Better that you hear it now rather than later. And you need to know, I think the day you retire, you should be debt-free. Did everybody hear what I said? I think the day you retire, you should be debt-free. Life is 10 times more palatable if you have absolutely no debt. I never have folks come in jumping up and down at how big their mortgage payment is and how excited they are to go into retirement with a mortgage. So I'm going to warn you now. I paid off my house in 1999. It is the best feeling in the world. You cannot put a number on the emotional freedom it gives me up here. I walk around my house like this. It's the greatest feeling in the world to own it. And I won't lose it unless I refuse to pay my what? Real estate taxes. I can work at McDonald's and make my taxes. You also must know this. I think the day we all retire in this room, the one with the most money wins. There's a bumper sticker sometimes you'll see on a car that says the one with the most toys wins. Saw that one day and I said to Patty, my bride, that it's wrong. It should say the one with the most money wins. Now, Patty has asked me to explain it, so I will explain it to you. What I mean in English is, the day I retire, if I want to work, it's because I what? I want to work. It's not going to be a what? Have to work. Every year, the Employee Benefits Research Institute does a survey on retirement and how long folks plan to work. The latest results were the highest percentage ever recorded in the survey. 34% of the respondents said they're going to work until they're 80. On about you folks, that's not a very good financial plan. Why? My wife's in the business. Gosh help us if we have any sort of health issue that might creep up or present itself. Then our desire to work until we're 80 goes out the window. So, my contention is the day we all get ready to retire, the one with the most money wins. You want as many checks walking in the door as possible. The bigger the checks, the better. Now, in your handouts, I'm going to speak primarily from the right side of your handouts. So if you want to grab those a minute. Open your handouts and you'll look on the right-hand side and it has a little outline. We're going to move around. This is your seminar. It's not mine. I can come in here and speak about anything I'm interested in. It's your seminar. As we go along, everything should be on your right-hand side. If you have questions, stop me and ask. I'll repeat it for those online and listening. And there's no such thing as a dumb question. It's dumb if you don't ask. And I'll try and keep it simple, sweetheart, and make it common sense. So you see the outline where we are. Okay? And I want you to realize that upon retiring, I'm going to give an example. I retired a couple months ago for illustrative purposes only, not literally. I'm going down to the mailbox. I know about direct deposit. And my first retirement check is in the mailbox. By the way, since I've retired, I've been doing whatever I gosh darn want to do. Lo and behold, this particular Friday, my first retirement check is in the mailbox. As I'm walking back up the driveway, I stop dead halfway up in my tracks and say, there's a huge mistake with my retirement check. So I breeze into the house. I'm picking up the phone to call Paulette or anybody else in HR because something's wrong with my retirement check. It is nowhere near what I was making when I retired. So there's a big problem. So Paulette is gracious on the phone and explains to me, Dave, did you attend our pre-retirement seminar? No, I didn't. I was too busy. I'm a dedicated federal employee. I never left my desk. I've seen the folks walking around in the hall here. I know better. Okay? Dave, what'd you do with the handbook we gave you the day we hired you? I'm embarrassed to tell you that I don't know where it is. It's probably been lost via a move, or it's gathering dust somewhere in a cardboard box. If I bothered to pay attention, I would know. How many of you in here are SIRS, CSRSers? Show of hands. I don't have any SIRS, just one. Everybody else is FERS. I'll let him know. You have the second best pension plan in the world. The only one better is Congress's. You can get it. You have the second best pension plan in the world as a CSRS employee. You can get Congress. Congress's plan is better than yours, self-serving. Okay? He can get upwards of 80% of his high 3 if he'll stay here 41 years and 11 months. Okay? I didn't say that he has to, I said he could. By the way, he can leave at age 55, 30 years service, 56 and a quarter. For each year he stays, he gets an additional 2%. Now, the rest of us are FERS, yes or no? Everybody else FERS? By the way, before you leave here, Elvis has left the building, you should know your number that's going to walk in the door when you retire. So I'm going to give you the formula. It's real easy. If I'm FERS and I leave before age 62, it's 0.01 times my high 3 earning years times my years of service. And voila, you now get to count sick leave. It is amazing how many folks in the past, when you compared CSRS to FERS, you never received credit for your sick leave, so you were a little bit more sickly. Once you got credit for your sick leave, the periods or bouts of sickness seem to drop off. Okay? If you work to age 62, 0.01 times your high 3 times your years of service if you're under age 62. 0.01 times your high 3 average times your years of service. If I'm 62 or older, it's a smidge better. It's 0.11 times your high 3 earning years times your years of service. On average, as a FERS employee, I'm going to receive somewhere between 30 to 40% of my high 3. So as you all know, we were granted the ability to fund the TSP, and on top of that, we get a 5% match. And you know what's phenomenally amazing to me? And as it was mentioned, I lecture at various government agencies. You would be amazed how many FERS employees do not put a penny in the TSP. Not a penny. And all I ask those individuals, given that you have a 5% match and they're not availing themselves of it, if you're going to give it away, can I have it? And I don't get any takers in the office. So you have the ability to fund the TSP. As you know, you had different fund vehicle choices. We can talk about the TSP if you want. Okay, as I said, this is your seminar. And I'll probably spend some time on the TSP, showing you where to put money now. Yes? My high 3 earning years, the average of my highest 3 earning years. Okay? The average of my 3 highest earning years. Now, if it's not your last 3 years here, the man's trying to tell you something. Okay? So it better be your last 3 years. Okay? And as I said, for FERS employees, you have the ability to fund the TSP. By the way, there's a myth that gets perpetuated. It's in your handouts. You need to grab the tax bracket chart a moment. Grab my tax bracket chart. So I want to sort of dispel any of the myths that get propelled about. So you need to look at the tax bracket chart. It has the 2017 tax rates on it, so it's very, very current. Everybody with me? All right, we're going to pick on me. The myth that gets perpetuated is the day you retire, we're taught you want to be in the lowest tax bracket possible. There's a book in the library that tells you the day you retire, you want to be in the lowest tax bracket possible. And by the way, I just had a gentleman in yesterday who said he wants to retire in the lowest tax bracket. And so we'll call him Jim. I said, Jim, it's all wrong. Don't check out the book at the library. Don't succumb to the myth about being in the lowest tax bracket. I'll illustrate it now. The day you retire, as I said earlier, you want as many checks walking in the door as possible. The more income walking in the door, the better. The one with the most money wins. If you want to work, it's because you want to or you choose to, not a have to. So watch. Let's pick on me. When I retire, let's pretend I'm going to go to Florida. Why? It's one of 7 states with no state and local tax. So I can control my state and local taxes. Pretty tough to avoid federal taxes unless I leave this country. I think it's a pretty nice place to live. But I can control my state and local. So, for illustrative purposes, Patty and I moved to Florida. We're down here enjoying life. I want all of you in this room to know we have arrived financially. Why? We're in the lowest tax bracket possible. So I need you to do me a favor. Would someone be kind enough to tell me how much our income is down in Florida as a married couple filing jointly? How much income do we have walking in the door? And it's not a trick question. Any brave souls? What's our income? Hint, hint, it's at the bottom of the page. Married filing jointly. Lowest tax bracket means our income is what? Somewhere between 0 and 18 what? 18,650. Now, if you'll slide to the right a little bit, we have to pay 10% of that 18,650 in federal taxes, or $1,865. Remember, no state and local tax. I'm in Florida. Okay? So, we net 16 and change. Everybody agree? We net about 16.8. Can I ask you all a question? Do you think I'm going to be paying visits back up to Maryland to visit my grandchildren or my boys, yes or no? Not a lot of money to live on. Gosh help Patty and me if what dies in the driveway? A car. Gosh help us if we have to replace the car. Are we going to be going out to eat much or doing much on the entertainment front, yes or no? But I wanted you all to know that it's really great because I'm in the lowest bracket possible. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Conversely, if I told you the day Patty and I retired and we're down here in Florida, conversely, we're in the highest tax bracket achievable. Our income is how much? $470,700. Now, I don't know about you all. I'm not a happy camper because my taxes are $130,570. That's more than some folks make, whether working or in retirement. So I'm not a happy camper. But I'll ask you all the question, and I take the survey constantly. Is $340,000 better than $16,800 after tax? Yes or no? Yes. Is that not a much better number? Not about you folks. I'm going to bitch, whine, moan, rant, rave, yell, cuss, and scream about taxes. So what else is new? At least I'm in a financial position to do what? Afford them and be able to what? Pay them. I don't like it. So I want you to realize today as you sit here, before Elvis has left the building and you walk out and you can't go back and amend or correct things, that you want to be in the highest tax bracket you can possibly achieve. You don't want to be in the lowest. It's not about the lowest. Watch. We'll pick on married. Is $18,650 to $75,900, the next bracket up from the lowest, better than 0 to 18? Yes or no? Isn't that a much better bracket if my income falls in there? Is $75,900 to $153,100, walking in the door, taxable income, better than the previous two brackets? Yes or no? Yes. Absolutely. So will you do me a favor? If you're ever at a cocktail party or a summer picnic or with relatives or wherever you are, friends, and they talk to you about, I want to be in the lowest bracket, you should chuckle inside and say, they're doing it all wrong. It's about being in the highest tax bracket achievable. It means more money's walking in the door. That should be our goal, not less money. I invite any of you to come spend a day with me in my conference room. And you would, at the end of the day, after hearing some of the stories, financial stories, from individuals or couples across the conference room table from me, you would say to me at the end of the day, my gosh, Dave, people live like that. Just had a gal in recently. She's had it up to here. Is this familiar with anybody? They've had it up to here with their employer. Okay? She's retiring. Her pension, and she has one, is $4,000 a month. It's going to walk in the door. By the way, she's age 57. FERS eligible to go. Her expenses are $5,000 a month. Now, I don't know about you folks, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out if the 4 walks in the door and 5's going out the door. By the way, still has a mortgage of $225,000. Would you all believe that if she didn't have a mortgage, we wouldn't be having the conversation about how is she going to survive when 4 comes in and 5 goes out? And you'd be amazed. The look of astonishment on some folks' faces when I have to give them the bad news. And by the way, so you know me, it's not gray, it's black or white as far as I'm concerned. It's real easy. The numbers aren't going to lie. You're either in a financial position to retire or you're not. And sometimes I have to be Monty Hall in my office. If you all remember the show, Let's Make a Deal. And I have to introduce folks to doors because I run financial projections or retirement projections all the time. I can do them in my sleep. And many times, if folks aren't going to have sufficient capital walking in the door, I have to introduce them to the doors. And by the way, you're not going to like any of my doors, so I'll review them with you. Door number 1. I may have to say to you, I know it's none of you in here, it's them out there who didn't come down today. Save more money is door number one. Now, I would guess you all can figure out what comments are made in my office. Dave, it takes everything we make. It takes all I make to survive. We don't have enough money coming in. These are folks many times who live on IFCUM. Anybody ever heard of IFCUM? You want me to illustrate it? If the kids didn't need braces, if the refrigerator didn't die, if the transmission on the car hadn't gone, I'd have money. So most folks don't like my save more money. And I'll tease all of you in here. You have a cafeteria here, yes or no? Yes. What does lunch run? $3, $4? How much does lunch run? Anybody? 9 to 11? Wow, so $10? Okay, you're all dedicated federal employees. I know what lunch runs. I deliberately lowballed you. I'm going to call it $10. That's $50 a week on lunch. Do we have flex time here where I can come in at 6 and leave at 2:30? Might some of the folks, I know it's none of you in here, it's them out there, might some folks come in and grab breakfast and a bottled water during a break, pack of cigarettes, candy, right? These are folks who come in my office and say, I can't save any money yet. $50 a week goes to lunches. You would be absolutely amazed when I do the lunch test in my office. And folks get a little red and go, oh my gosh, I never thought of how much money I'm spending at lunchtime. $50 a week times the 52 is $2,600 a year just on lunch. Never mind the weekends. And by the way, when you retire, every day is a weekend. Where do you think money gets spent when we're retired? Every day. Why? Because it's a weekend to us. Okay? Door number 2. Not very popular door as well. Work longer. Just mentioned it. As I said with the example of the SIRS, I can stay 41 years, 11 months and get what? 80% of my high 3. By the way, I'll let all of you FERS folks know, you too can stay longer. Why? Hopefully your high 3 average is going where if I stay longer? Higher. And my length of service is going where? Longer. So that gives me more in retirement. It's still going to somewhere average between 30 to 40%. It'll just be a bigger number. So you too can work longer should you choose to. You don't like that answer in my office when I mention it. It is not popular by any stretch of the imagination. So now I'm off to door 3. Equally not as popular. And it's happened here, I guarantee you. It's called Don't Retire, Die at Your Desk. Has that happened here, yes or no? Has it happened here? Everywhere I go, I don't care whether it's corporate world or federal employee world, the ambulance is pulled up out front and carted someone away. So they've died at their desk. And I'm sure there's the story here, as in most agencies I go to, where there's Jim or Charlie or Susan who's been here for 47 years, has nothing else better to do, doesn't have any hobbies, and they're here forever. I know those people exist. I'm not sure they have a life outside of here. Or they're not in good financial straits. So I'm going to warn all of you now, I'm going to pound you until the cows come home, put away as much money as possible. Do you know what's interesting? In my 39 years, I've never had anybody come up to me yet and do this. Damn you, I have too much money. I am so mad at you, Dave, because I have too much money. Most of the time, it's how are we going to survive? And can we survive? So the 2 questions we should be asking ourselves, especially after 2008, 2009, when, come on, show of hands, how many of you thought the world was coming to an end in 08, 09? Your C fund dropped 37%, your I fund was down rather substantial, and there was the mad dog panic to go to where? Where'd everybody move their money in the TSP to the what fund? Don't lie to me, come on, the what? G fund. G fund because it was what? Guaranteed. Worst mistake you could have made in retrospect, is it not? Yes or no? Are folks still sitting in the G fund today? I know it's none of you in here, it's them out there. But I just had it in my office the other day, and we'll call her Susie. Susie says to me, I have $400,000 in the G fund. She's early 50s, and she said, I got so scared after 08, 09, and I said to her, Susie, in my office, Susie, all I did was I went out and looked through the blinds, and Little Patuxent Parkway in Columbia runs right by my office building, and cars were still going up and down Little Patuxent Parkway in 0809. Cheesecake Factory was going to have a line on Friday night. The movie theater was going to be busy. Somebody was picking up their dry cleaning from Zips. Somebody's pumping gas. Somebody's in Giant Food or Safeway buying what? Groceries. So you know what, gang? We fooled you. The world didn't come to an end. Did we have a big sale? Yes or no? We had the mother of all sales, did we not? And you know what's interesting? When my industry has a sale, guess who shows up? Nobody. And yet we all know Warren Buffett, yes or no? Does everybody know Warren Buffett, country's second richest person? You know what his philosophy is? Buy what nobody else wants. You know what he was doing 2 years ago when oil went from $100 a barrel to $25 a barrel? He was buying Phillips 66. If I'd called all of you in this room and said, I want you to buy an oil stock, you know what you would have said to me? Are you crazy? Not for love or money. Dave, oil prices have gone from $100 a barrel to $25 a barrel. Not for love or money. Oil's now doubled, 25 to 50. And you know who's going to look like a smiling Cheshire cat? Warren Buffett. He always buys what nobody else wants. He buys out of favor. So anyway, Susie says to me, Dave, I have $400,000 in the G fund. I moved it in 08 when the market started to poop and I never went back. And I said, you know what? Had you stayed, you would have over $600,000 had you stayed in the C fund, for example. But she said to me, I didn't want to assume any market risk. And I said to her, there are many types of different risk. Inflation risk, market risk, tax risk. The G fund has not kept pace with inflation. The Department of Labor states the historical rate for inflation is 3.16%. Last year, the G fund returned 1.82. You're not going to make it. Your ability to buy things is going to lessen. I just had John referred to me, 70 plus years of age, has all the money in the G fund. Somebody told him to come see me. And he said, I now have to start taking money out. Is everybody aware at age 70 and a half you have to start taking money out? Yes or no? Everybody's aware of required minimum distributions. By the way, for the youngies in here who are putting it in the Roth, we can talk about that as well, you also have a required minimum distribution. Really? Yes, just not the traditional TSP folks. Both sides of the fence have a required minimum distribution. Yet I can have a Roth IRA and I can die with it. I don't have to take an RMD. But on your Roth TSP, you have to take an RMD. So by the way, John comes in and he says, Dave, I have to start taking distributions. His first year, he has to take 3.649%. You know what he earned last year? 1.82. So you know what I said to John? You're touching your principal immediately. And it picks up steam because year two, you have to take out 3.773%. And then it goes to 3.906%. And it accelerates. Why? By age 115, IRS wants all the money out of that TSP. Why? So they can what? Tax us. Now, so you all know, that was changed in 2002. You originally had to have it out by age 86. And everybody thinks IRS were nice folks in Congress when they changed it from age 86 to 115. Aren't they nice people? Can I tell you all a secret? What they're hoping in reality is that you die with a lot of money in your IRAs or your TSP. Why? Because you'll still owe income tax on that money, or your heirs will, or it may be subject to estate tax. So you may get double whammied. So it wasn't about let's be nice folks and extend the age. There was really a subliminal reason for doing it. So I want you to be aware of what's going on around us. Circumstances change all the time. Just like I continually get asked why I feed a traditional IRA, because I can't deduct it. Why, Dave, would you fund it? And by the way, Money Magazine agreed back in October 87 when they changed the rules on deductible IRAs. If you can't deduct a traditional IRA, don't make the contribution. And I said to my wife, Patty, they're wrong. They're dead wrong. It still grows what? Tax what? No, not free, not a traditional IRA. It still grows tax what? Deferred. I'm not going to pay taxes on it. Now, I get criticized. We have 850,000 in traditional IRAs, and I get criticized today. And I don't know about you folks, it is no different if you stop and think a moment. If you're CSRSers, you're paying in 7+% of your paycheck to the CSRS system. If you're FERS, you're paying in anywhere from 0.8, 3.1, or the new hirees are paying in as much as 4.4% of your paycheck to the Federal Employee Retirement System or the Civil Service Retirement System. So if you stop and think for a moment, the money I'm putting in traditional IRAs, which is not deductible, is no different than your contribution to FERS or CSRS. I'm putting in money out of my paycheck just like you are. And you can't deduct it, nor can I. Will that give me a nice check in retirement, yes or no? And you'd be amazed how many folks say, to this day, I didn't know I could fund an IRA. I thought if I was funding a TSP or a 401k or 403b or 457, I'm not eligible to fund an IRA. Your first priority for retirement. All of you have this. Congratulations. We've gone over that. You know your number for a pension. Congratulations. I don't have a pension where we work. Patty at Howard County General, she's now retired, has no pension. So every single one of you in this room, by virtue of having a pension, have a huge leg up on me. We don't have one. So when I get up in the morning and look in the mirror, I'm the pension plan. The buck stops where? Right here. I have no excuse. Number 2 source of income at retirement, Social Security. And by the way, the average check today nationwide is $1,360 a month or $16,320 a year. That's the average Social Security check. If I took away your pensions and said your only source of income is Social Security, how many of you would survive? And you'd be amazed how many folks are counting on it as a regular source of income to be their primary source of income. It should be a supplement, not the main staple. So then it's down to, hey, Dave, where else are we going to come up with money? It's your savings. And I don't mean a traditional savings account. I'll show you where to put your savings money today in a moment. So somebody remind me. It is, where can I accumulate wealth and not pay taxes on it or have a tax favored? So you can't beat the TSP with a 10-foot pole. Everybody hear what I said? You can't beat it with a 10-foot pole while you're working here. Now I'm going to touch some nerves. Everybody ready? I need forgiveness. You all going to forgive me? Because I'm going to make a statement. You're not going to like it. If you are not maxing the TSP to the greatest possible extent that you can afford to, you are dead from the neck up. Everybody hear what I said? You are dead from the neck up. Because you know what I brought with me today? I brought 2 legal pads. First legal pad that I want you to sign up for when we take a break. This legal pad will allow you to lower your W-2 income and have more money at retirement. Everybody hear what I said? This legal pad will lower your W-2 every year and give you more money when you're retired. The other legal pad I brought today is you can leave your W-2 as it is every year, no reduction whatsoever, and have less money for retirement purposes. Which legal pad do you all like? You like the first one. You know what's amazing? I continue to do this survey wherever I go, and you'd be amazed how many folks aren't maxing the TSP to the greatest extent they can afford it. Just had him in yesterday. He's over the age of 50, can do 24 grand, he's only doing 18. He didn't even know about the ketchup. And I don't mean Heinz. I mean the ability when we hit that magic age of what? Come on, you guys know what's the magic age? Now, is it the day or the year? It's the year in which I turn 50. I'm eligible to do what? An extra $6,000 so you can put in $24,000. And by the way, if you max it, you will never cuss me for how much money's in that account. You will say the 2 words that I always hear in my office. I wish I had started what? Earlier, or I wish I had saved more. I wish I had a bell for every time I've heard those words in my office. It's amazing. So you can't beat the TSP with a 10-foot pole. Fund it, fund it, fund it. Any questions so far on that? Because I can come back on TSP. Your next best bet is this guy, an IRA. This is your second priority, IRA. See, life is all about goals. This is what our financial life should be about. Short-term goals, 1 to 5 years. Medium-term goals, the next 5 to 15 years, what are you trying to accomplish? And long-term, 15 years or more. And you'd be amazed how many of the millennials tell you that I have lots of time, I don't have to worry about this yet. So you all know the first 10 years I was in this job, I wanted you all to like me. So you know what I did? I only worried about your short-term goals. And you know what I discovered after 10 years? They were all the I want goals. Everybody hear what I said? It was all about I want. And this is always the longest list. Do you need it? Well, no, not necessarily. I may not need it, but I what? I want it. So after 10 years, I said, that's it. I'm going to focus on this first, because if I can prove to folks, if you'll fund these folks, TSPs, 401ks, 403bs, do you all know what I'm speaking about? Yes or no? You may have a spouse who works for a corporation that's out to make a profit. That's 401k. That's what I have. Patty was at Howard County General. She had a 403b, nonprofit, teachers, hospitals, librarians. 457, municipal employees, employees of a county, employees of the state. They all get to put away what we do, which is what? 18 grand regular, and another 6 if they're what? 50 years of age. By the way, you need TSP Form 1 every year to do the catch-up. It's not an automatic. You have to sign up to do it. Can't beat it, as we said. Second best, or priority, IRA. And then I get, Dave, there's a traditional and there's the Roth. And the Roth was introduced January 1st of 97 after Senator Roth from Delaware. And I thought when I read about it, it was the greatest deal since sliced bread. I don't know if you folks can see this. Can you all see that? I had to read the fine print because Uncle Sam always giveth and Uncle Sam taketh. You know what I discovered? Uncle Sam said, well, wait a minute, your eligibility to fund a Roth is based on how much you earn. You're just a gross income. So by the way, I'll give you current numbers. Married, if I make less than $186,000, Patty and I can do a Roth. Did you all hear what I said? If we're less than 186, we can do a Roth. If we make over 196, we can't do a Roth. We're precluded from doing it. Does that number change every year? Yes, it does. It's usually indexed and goes up. If we make between 186 and 196, we can do a partial Roth. How about if I'm single filer? If you make less than 118, you can fund a Roth. If you make more than 133, you cannot fund a Roth. How about in between those, a partial? What's unique about the Roth? What's unique about the Roth? It grows what? Tax what? Somebody said it. Tax-free. So this is obviously the better deal. But Uncle Sam giveth and taketh, as I said. You know what the rules are? The Roth account has to be 5 years old. And is the most important word, I have to be 59 and a half. To have the earnings be tax-free for the Roth. 59 and a half. And the account has to be 5 years old. I've had people who opened their Roths back in 97. Are they more than 5 years old now? Obviously. Okay? They're 20 years of age. So then the next hurdle is, are they over 59 and a half? And by the way, for all of you sitting here thinking, I don't want to do a Roth because I won't have liquidity. Baloney, you're always allowed to go back and get your Roth contributions penalty-free. Did everybody hear what I said? The car died. Need to loan the kids money. Something came up, I need money. You can always go back and get your contributions penalty-free no matter what age. So you can't tell me, Dave, you put handcuffs on me and I have no access to my money. Baloney. That won't fly. Yes?
Tax-free, aren't you paying taxes on the money up front?
Yes.
So that's,
On the traditional, the old days, remember I was telling you the traditional? The traditional started back in the 70s, and it was tax deferred, as we said, and you were able to deduct it in the beginning. Then Mr. Reagan changed the rules. And when the deductibility went away, folks said, I quit. Money Magazine said October 87, don't do it if you can't deduct it. Wrong, 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 we said. Roth came out in 97 and said, this will be an after-tax contribution, money you save out of your paycheck, as you said, where you've already paid taxes, and it's the earnings that are going to be what? Tax-free. Okay? The earnings. So it's a great deal. So if you are in a position where you can afford and you qualify for the Roth, I would urge you to fund it. Yes, but I don't have many years left of working, so I don't know if it's worthwhile to fund it. Can I ask you all a question? If you only have 4 years and you get 25 grand in there, and you have a spouse who does the same thing, is 50 better than 0? Yes or no? Is it not another source of income at retirement? Dave, I got a pension. Dave, you know what else I have? I'm going to get a Social Security check because I'm FERS. Dave, I'm leaving at 57. So between 57 and 62, you know what else I'm eligible for, Dave? The supplement check. Oh, Dave, you know what else I'm eligible for down the road? I'm going to get a Roth check. So now, Dave, all of a sudden, I've got 4 checks. My spouse has 4 checks walking in the door. Dave, we have 8 checks walking in the door. You know what the biggest complaint for those people down the road is, especially if they're debt-free? Taxes, taxes, taxes. They hate them. Oh, well. I'm going to be deaf, dumb, and blind. I'm not going to listen to you if you complain about taxes. Be glad you can what? Pay them. It's all about how much money can you get walking in the door. Am I making sense? Yes or no? Barking up a tree? You guys tell me. Questions? It's your seminar. Any questions? Or have you all dumbfounded and perplexed? No?
Can you withdraw from the federal Roth at any time?
Can I do what, sir?
Withdraw from the federal Roth.
You mean if I do the Roth TSP? Or your question was, Dave, if I have a Roth IRA, can I withdraw from it? Remember, I can always go back and get my contribution penalty-free. If I'm after this, my earnings, I have the 5-year rule and 59.5. This is the most important word. And for the earnings to be tax-free. And then I get this, so I may as well cover it for the millennials. And it may apply to some of you in here. Should I fund the traditional TSP or the Roth TSP? I'm going to tell you right now, I'm off the record. I'm not RBC. I do everything traditional. Why? I want to pay the least amount of taxes today. And then I get accused by a voice in the back that what are taxes going to be when you retire, Dave? And you know what I yell back? I don't know. I don't care. They've only changed 35 times since 1913. What's the current president talking about doing with tax brackets? Changing them again. They're going to change all the time. And you know what I've discovered in 39 years in my office? If I give folks a reason or an excuse not to save money, they'll take me up on it every time. They won't save money. And I'm going to give you all the secret to building wealth. And then you know what? I can leave. It's now 1:42. I've been on about 42 minutes. I can leave after I give you the secret to building wealth. Everybody ready? You may want to write this down. Spend less than what you make. Yes or no?
Yes.
Does it get any easier? Yes or no? Spend less than what you make. So, you know what? Do me a favor. Work on this side of the fence the long term, because what happens to us is, oh my gosh, Dave, that's not 15 years. I have these folks come in my office now who are going, oh my gosh, Dave, it's 5 to 15 years away. Because you know what the typical American individual or couple circumstances are? Somewhere between the ages of 47 to 49, the bell goes off, the coffee pot brews, and we go, oh my gosh, we've got kids' college coming. And if mom has stayed home and never denigrate that. What a job. I wouldn't have it for love or money. That's a huge job. NBC one time said on the news how much a housewife's job is really worth. It was well into $100,000 plus. Okay? So all of a sudden, mom goes back to work to do what? Get ready to fund what? College. And then after college is done, mom stays on the job. Why? Because now it's funding retirement. So somewhere between the ages of 47 to 49, the light bulb goes off and we go, oh my gosh, college and retirement. We've got to put away money. And by the way, I want to retire, Dave, as early as I can. Really. So sometimes in my office, I'm darned if I do and darned if I what? Don't. And I can't say to folks, as you all know, when they come in, where you been? Did you just wake up? Did you just figure it out? Because all of our circumstances are unique and different. All I want you to do is pay yourselves first. If you're a spender or you're married to a spender, do me a favor, take it out of the paycheck before they can see it. It's out of sight, out of mind. It's the best way to save money. So, you'd be amazed how often this is gone. Dave, we don't have that. And some of you may go back to your cubicles this afternoon and beat up the young people sitting around you for not maxing their plans. Can I tell you a secret? You have no right to do that. Why? Because they're living life just as we did. What happens? We graduate from college, we had a good time. Now we're getting into our early 20s, we get a job, we get married, we have kids, we buy the minivan. Kids may or may not be in private school. All of a sudden, we hit that age 47 and what do we say? Oh my gosh, we've got to fund what? College. So we go back to impart to everybody who sits around us, don't make the same mistakes we made. I don't know about you all, sounds like our parents. Make good what? Well, they tell us all the time. Make good choices. Don't make the same mistakes I made, etc., etc., etc. We sound like broken records, do we not? I'm sure some of you in this room have heard your parents in your own voice. Okay? Then gosh help us, gang, if it gets over here. By the way, when I do retirement projections, if I can prove that what you're saving now will get you from where you want to be, A to B, then now we can attack the 5 to 15 years, which may be second home, funding college. It's an assortment of different goals. And you'd be amazed how many times I can congratulate folks in my office and tell them, well done, good job. Spend money now wherever you want on the 1 to 5 year stuff. If you have things that you desire, go ahead. And you'd be amazed how many folks are reticent to spend the money. They feel a little guilty all of a sudden. Yet we've run the numbers and shown them purposely that they can afford to or be in that position to go spend it. By the way, I must mention this as well. T. Rowe Price says, the first decade of our retirement, we will spend 100% of what we were making when we were working. And yet I already dispel the theory of, Dave, my paycheck's going to be big. It's going to be less than what we're making now, is it not? Yes or no? That's reality shock. Oh my gosh. And not one of you is going to come into my office and ask me to run your retirement calculation and say this to me from the other side of the conference room table. Dave, would you be kind enough to figure out how much of a pay cut we can afford during our retirement years? Do you know I never have that statement made to me? Dave, please run the numbers and let me know what kind of pay cut we're going to look forward to. So can you do me a favor? Pay yourselves first. Put it away. Be goal-oriented. Try not to be performance-oriented. It's not about owning the best mutual fund, the best stock, the best time to be in the TSP, etc. Because you know what? I'll outperform you on everything you own. I'll find a better CD. I'll find a better stock. I'll find a better mutual fund. I'll find a better piece of real estate than yours. I can one-up all day long. It's not about that. You don't have to own the best investment. The biggest key I've found is paying ourselves first, which most of us find very hard to do. We'll spend money on everything else. In retirement, second decade. I said the first decade we're going to spend 100%, T. Rowe Price said. Second decade of our retirement, we spent on average 70% of what we were making. 70. And guess where some of that money is going? My wife was in the business. Where's it going? Healthcare. Third decade, should we live that long, we're spending on average 60% of what we were when we were working. And where's the bulk of that money going? Come on, where's it going? I just mentioned it. It's going to healthcare, is it not? My mom's 90 in an assisted group home right now. It's all about making sure there's enough income to do what? To sustain her in that group facility. And by the way, when you retire, first decade typically of your retirement, you're go-go for travel. The second decade, you're slow-go. And the third decade, you're no-go. So I'm going to warn you that if you want to travel, do it, do it, do it, do it. Because unforeseen circumstances present themselves. Okay? So you want to make sure you have the cash flow walking in the door. Okay, handouts. Grab some others. We doing okay so far? Yes or no? All right, grab your 1040. I have a sample 1040. You all just filed your taxes. Some of you may have filed an extension, but you should be looking for the 2016 1040. I want to point out a couple things on here. So you should have a 1040 U.S. individual tax return, 2016. Because after everybody files taxes, we have a bevy of folks who come in and go, I want to pay less taxes. So all I have to do is see your paycheck, and I can determine whether you're maxing your TSP plan. That's easy. And then the real giveaway is your tax return. Look at line 7. Wages, salaries, tips, etc. Everybody see it? There, and I start it. That's where you want to drive your income where? Down. Back down, not up. All of those plans will afford me the ability to do what? Drive my income lower and give me more money for retirement in that TSP, IRA, whatever it might be, 401k, etc. Okay, line 8A. I don't have anything beside it. Let's just walk through it a minute. That's the interest we all dearly love to earn and brag about. I'm on a CD paying 1.5%. I don't know if you've heard that at a party. Whoever thought we'd be at the point where we talk about 1.5%? By the way, can I segue a minute? Yes or no? Is it okay if I segue? Everybody all right with that? Let me tell you where to put your savings. Okay, I did research on bankrate.com 2 years ago. Okay, this is savings. Everybody hear what I said? This is your rainy day emergency savings. And by the way, it's not ATM money. Did you all hear what I said? It's not your ATM money. Okay, that's a different spot. I call this savings. An ATM to me is sometimes an excuse to grab money. Okay, so pure savings. I discovered 2 years ago this institution called Synchrony. Synchronny, Synchrony Bank. Synchrony Bank. Now, I found it on bankrate.com. It's real. I'm not making this up. But let me give you the details. And I have 4 accounts there. Patty first, me second, me first, Patty second, Patty individual, me individual. Why? It is FDIC insured. Did you all hear what I said? It is FDIC insured. So you can sleep at night like a baby. By the way, it is paying 1.05%. It is liquid daily. I don't know about you folks, you're sitting in the credit union earning 0.2 or 0.1. By the way, the credit unions and banks are laughing all the way to the bank and the credit union, pardon the pun. Why? Because they're making so much money off of us, they can't see straight. Because they have 3 desks in their offices. They have the Visa MasterCard desk, where they're hoping like the dickens we don't pay our credit card bill on time, so they can make a huge spread on us, pay us 0.2 and charge 18. They have the home mortgage desk, where you all know I can get a 4% mortgage, and I'm being facetious. 16 points at settlement. You all know what I mean by points, right? It's a license to steal money, okay, in my opinion. You know, there might be 1 point at settlement. I was being facetious. Okay, and the third desk is the auto loan desk. So what are they doing? They're making a huge spread at each of those desks off of us. So I want you all to be aware, a bank account is not free. Yet in 39 years, I'm continually told in my office that a bank account is free. No, it's not. It's called what spread are they making on the money? What are they paying us? 0.2. What are they loaning it out for? That's what they're making off of us. So, Synchrony Bank, 1.05. So I call them on the phone. By the way, they're now advertising a one-page ad in Money Magazine. I didn't bring it, but they're advertising in Money Magazine. So you all know, Synchrony Bank is owned by General Electric. Have you all heard of General Electric? Yes or no? It's a pretty big name, is it not? Now, I discovered the following. They have 2 branches only, and you're not driving to either one, nor am I. Secaucus, New Jersey, and Atlanta, Georgia. So when I called the 1-800 number, I was talking to the gal in Atlanta, Georgia. And I said to her, I want to open an account. She said, well, we're like an internet bank. I don't want to be an internet bank. I'm old school. My son works for NSA. If a hacker can get into the Pentagon, he can get into where? Anywhere. So I said, I want mail statements. Statements in the mail. She said, you can have that. I said, okay, I want to open an account. Give us your name, rank, serial number, address, social security number, all that. Where do I mail the check? She gave me the address for Atlanta, Georgia. I want mail statements. How often are you going to give them to me? Every month we'll mail you a statement. It's paying 1.05. Now, I then said to her what we all want to know, what about liquidity? Because she says to me tonight, we're going to go to Best Buy and buy a TV, and I say, I don't have any money in my checking account. I run it in and run it out like most people. Why? Because checking accounts typically pay what? Nothing. So why would I leave money there? So I said to the gal, I want liquidity. How do I get liquidity? We have a checkbook account paying 0.85. I don't want your checkbook. I already have a checkbook. I don't want 0.85. I want what? I want 1.05. By the way, you have daily liquidity? Yes. Any monthly fees? No. Can I add money whenever I want? Yes. Can I take out money whenever I want? Yes. Now, I don't know about you guys. It's fitting the bill, is it not? So now I want liquidity. What can I do? You can link it to your checking account. So right away, gang, I say to her, she doesn't know this, I grew up in Burtonsville. When I grew up there back in the 60s, the bank was Sandy Spring National Bank, if you ever heard of it. It's a little local yokel bank. It's not a big boy. So I said to her on the phone, I just have a little checking account at Sandy Spring. She said, we don't care where you check with, who your checking's with. Doesn't matter. We can still link it. So what are you going to do? She said, we're going to make 2 small test deposits into your checking account. Okay, what do? Wait a couple days and go online to Sandy Spring. I don't have online with Sandy Spring. I don't want it. Well, then call them and find out what we deposited into your checking account. So you all know, for me, it was 26 cents and 16 cents. If you do this, Synchrony Bank is not calling you. Did you all hear what I said? Synchrony Bank is not calling you to tell you what they deposited. You need to pick up the phone and call who? You need to call Synchrony Bank back like I did. So the minute I discovered 26 cents and 16 cents, I called them back and said, you deposited 26 cents and 16 cents. She said to me on the phone, you're now verified as Dave Walter, and your account is now linked with your checking. You can move money back and forth. Did everybody hear what I said? So I ask you all, as I stand here before you, do I have liquidity, yes or no? Yes, I do. You want to go to Best Buy tonight? Let me call Synchrony this afternoon and move money, and we'll go to Best Buy to buy the TV. I have liquidity. So I don't know about you all folks, and I've had this in my office. 1.05. It's not that much. Really. Really, it's not that much. Do you know I had a gentleman recently, 25 grand sitting around doing nothing, earning 0.1? And I calculated what his 0.1 was, $2.50, versus 25,000 at 1.05. Right? And said to Sean, you want to do me a favor? Give me the difference. You keep the 250, I'll take the bigger number. Or the delta. You know what he said? Oh, no way. So if you sit here today and tell me that's not a big deal, it's more than 99.9% of financial institutions are paying now. So I don't know why you wouldn't move some of your savings money to where? Why wouldn't you move it to Synchrony Bank? They're advertising in Money Magazine. They're real. They're owned by General Electric. I already told you it's not your what money? It's not ATM money. Not ATM money. Okay, so there's a place for your savings. So immediately I've increased your rate of return on your money, yes or no? This room should be packed. Where is everybody? All right, line 9A, we're back on the tax return. 9A, it's dividends. If you own stocks or mutual funds, you're getting them. The bragging line, number 10. Everybody likes to brag about number 10. Do you know how much of a refund, Dave, I got from the state of Maryland? I have to let you all in on a secret. I'm thinking, you big dummy, you loan Mr. Hogan your money interest-free for 12 months, 13 months, 14 months, 15 months, 16 months interest-free. So I'm going to ask you in my office, can I borrow that money from you? I'll give it back to you. You don't even have to file a tax return with me. I'll give it back to you next year, January, and I'm not going to pay you 1 penny of interest. Can I have your money? The name of the game is to either break even or owe the man a little bit and laugh or smile when you write the check. That's the name of the game. Okay? Down there at the bottom, everybody goes and buys rental properties. 1787, Uncle Sam changed the rules. If you make more than 150 grand, you get no current benefit. Won't lower your taxes. Look at Social Security. Everybody see line 20A? I hope you're aware of this rule or law change in 83. The day we all retire, if we're drawing Social Security, you better be aware that it's double taxed. Are you kidding me, Dave? And by the way, the Gray Panthers back in the 80s complained long and hard, how dare you double tax? It is no different than my millennials telling me today, I'm feeding the Roth TSP only. And I've told all of them, don't be surprised if in the future Uncle Sam changes the rules and taxes you again on your Roth TSP. And you know what I always get back in response? That would be double taxation. Excuse me, they're already doing it with Social Security. And for those of you sitting here today who believe the Roth is going to be tax-free forever, you're betting on Congress's promise. Is that a good bet, yes or no? Not a good bet historically. So, it says down there on line 20A, and you have it as one of your handouts, dependent upon your level of income in retirement, your Social Security benefit is taxed again, either 50% of what you get or 85% of what you get is going to be taxed again. Put it on the return and pay taxes on it. So I constantly get the millennials who tell me, guess what, I don't believe in Social Security, it's not going to be here. Oh, yes it is. Yes it is. They'll means test it, they'll increase the age, they'll undo the cap like Medicare, and you'll pay taxes, Social Security taxes on everything we earn, just like Medicare. There's all sorts of ways to fix Social Security. So don't fool ourselves. IRA deduction, they started, as you see at the bottom, in 75 and went away in 87, as I mentioned earlier. The most damage you can do in terms of paying less taxes is line 7. Line 7. That's why I told you, please maximize your plan at work. Have your spouse, if you're married, maximize their plan at work. I can defer $48,000, 24 from me and 24 for Patty if she weren't retired. Is that 48 reduction in income going to do some walking and talking, yes or no? And 48,000 every year going into my retirement plan, is that going to present a pretty big number? As FERS employees, a lot of you should be sitting here with in excess of $1 million. And there are some FERS employees with in excess of $1 million. Okay, so no excuses. Next, Schedule A. Look at Schedule A. This is a lot of folks' favorite form. Everybody thinks IRS allows tremendous latitude. Well, healthcare, as you all know, can't deduct anything until we meet 10% of adjusted gross income. Next is our state and local income taxes. Put it on here, what you paid out of your paycheck. My real estate taxes, Dave. Mortgage interest, line 10. Contributions. Big area where folks make up numbers. Come on, IRS wasn't born yesterday. Hey, that shirt I gave away last year was $40. Really? It's 10 years old and it's tattered and torn and you tell me it's $40. IRS was not born yesterday. Is that a big area where folks sort of elaborate a little bit? Oh, yes. Okay? And then expenses, you need 2% of unreimbursed safe deposit box. Management fees you might pay to an investment firm, etc., before you can deduct anything on here. So the biggest damage, gang, is made where? Line 7 on the 1040. Now, will you take the next one for me? Go to the next chart. Should have one that looks like staying the course, it says at the top. Everybody have one that says staying the course? Yes or no? Staying the course. All right, if I sound like a preacher, sorry, I have to give the sermon. All right, I want you to look at this. Yours is not in color. I'm in color in my office. What you're looking at, this is your C fund. It's all the way at the bottom in the middle if you'll look. The benchmark used for the above chart is the S&P 500. That is your C fund at work. It is the 500 biggest companies in this country. If they go out of business, we're all in trouble. I don't care where you have your money. What I want you to look at, and I know it's only in black and white. I know that. Look in the middle where it says intra-year declines. Does everybody see that in a box beside it? Yes or no? Intra-year declines. No, right here. Intra-year declines. The top of the line. Everybody look on the top half of the line. Okay? Now look at the bottom half. We're going to pick on the bottom first. The bottom. From 1980, please notice the years, all the way through 2016. I have 16 years of history of your C fund here. The bottom half is how much our C fund dropped during those calendar years. Did everybody hear what I said? They don't have a date, so they don't tell us, like last year, the 11% drop in the C fund occurred in January and February. It was the biggest drop ever at the beginning of the year for the S&P 500. Historically, biggest drop. I had people calling me, telling me, oh my gosh, here we go again, 08, 09. No, we're not. No, we're not. Okay? So every single one of those bottom lines, I hope you see, shows you that every single year since 1980, we've had a sale. Yes or no? Has the market or C fund gone down? Yes or no? Every single year since 1980. Unequivocally. Absolutely. If you'll notice, every single year, negative. Now the top half is by the end of the year, December 31st. Where did the market finish? Was it positive or negative? Last year, it was plus 10% by the end of the year. We had a 21% swing last year. From minus 11 to finishing the year, my account was plus 10. Holy macaroni. So I'm going to guarantee all of you in this room, we're going to have a sale every single year. And when we do, the phone never rings in my office. Yet, I can pick any retailer, I can pick any car dealer, I can pick any other form of business, and if there's a sale going on, we're there to buy. When we have a sale in my industry, no one shows up. And it's because CNBC, which stands for Causes Nothing But Confusion, scares the dickens out of you and tells you the world's coming to an end. I'm going to let you all in on a secret right now. They don't have a clue. Turn it off. I turned CNBC off in my office back in 08. You want to know why? Because one half of the screen was always, the world's coming to an end. The other half had an individual saying, the world's not coming to an end. You know what? It's all about the media. Do me a favor. Don't listen to them. John Bogle of Vanguard Fund said, the biggest favor we could do ourselves as investors is don't open our TSP statements, our 401k statements, our 403b, our 450 statements. Don't open them. Trash them. Shortly before you retire, open your statement. By the way, you're going to need a cardiologist standing beside you. Because he said you won't believe how much money's in there. And you know, an airline pilot wrote to him recently and said, I took your advice and I quit looking at my statements. By the way, Bogle's advice was no peeking also. No peeking. This airline pilot said, I did peek occasionally. And you know what he said? I'm now retired and all I want to do is say thank you. I can't believe how much money's in my account. In spite of who? Us. Because we're emotionally driven. And we let our emotions get the best of us. I have just proven to all of you now, by looking at this chart, so you have no excuse when you leave here today, that every single year there's a sale. I don't know how long the sale's going to go. I don't know how much of a sale we're going to have. I don't get emails ahead of you. And you know I'm being facetious. But we're going to have a sale every year, and all I have to do is point to the last 36 years and tell you, has that held true, yes or no? Now, if you'd like to know, I wrote it on here. We've had 8 negative years the last 36. 22% of the time, your account was down at the end of the year. Big deal. 78% of the time, you finished in the positive. If Cal Ripken batted .780, he'd have been a megastar. He would have blown Ted Williams' 400 batting average out of the sky. If Tiger Woods sank 78% of every golf putt he took, he'd have been a megastar. If Michael Jordan sank 78% of every basketball shot he took, he'd have been a megastar. So I'm going to ask you all now, why is the market not a megastar when it bats 78-22? Why? Why is it not? You do me a favor? Grab the next handout. Grab the handout right behind it. Now at the top, look at this. It should say S&P 500 index. Everybody have it? S&P 500. I asked these folks to run this. This is real. This is your C fund at work. So I want you to watch. January 1st, you came in my office and you gave me $10,000. And you said, I'm putting 10 grand in the S&P 500. You weren't in very long when we took a 37% hit. Holy macaroni, Dave. Worst investment I ever made. Okay, so this is your S&P from January 1st through the end of last year. I get this updated every quarter. Now, what I want you to look at real fast is the 10 grand. Everybody see that at the far left-hand column? And where did we finish for the C fund on December 31st, 8/16? What dollar amount does it say there? All the way over, 18 what? 553. If you go up and look at what I circled, it was an average rate of return of how much? 7.11%. All hear the operative word I used? Average. Did everybody hear me? It was an average. I already told you there's good years and bad years. Does that blow the doors off the G fund of 1.82 or the 2% 10-year average? Yes or no? But I didn't take any risk because I'm in the G fund. Really. This is the 500 biggest corporations in the world. Have we no faith? Have we no faith? Now, you ready? I've been reading this, so I'll read it to you all. You're no different than any client that walks in my office. You gave me the 10 grand. Don't look at them a minute. Don't look at this chart. I'm just going to read you events. Just going to read you events. Everybody ready? Federal Reserve arranges takeover of Bear Stearns by J.P. Morgan Chase. Lehman Brothers files for bankruptcy. H1N1 virus global pandemic. Congress passes TARP, Troubled Asset Relief Program. Dubai credit crisis shakes global markets. Obama signs healthcare bill. Deep Horizon oil spill. Haiti earthquake. The European Union and IMF bail out Ireland. Greek debt. The country of Greece, their debt cut to below investment grade. Hurricane Sandy hits New Jersey. Portugal receives a bailout. Eurozone finance ministers approve the second bailout for Greece. With edge of fiscal cliff in sight. Still no deal. You all remember those days, right? Budget sequestration takes effect. Russia moves troops into Crimea. ISIS begins offensive in Iraq. Boston Marathon bombing. Detroit, Michigan files for bankruptcy. Ebola outbreak in West Africa. California has the worst drought in history. U.S. Supreme Court affirms Obamacare. Chinese stock market crashes. Paris terror attacks. The Swiss depeg from the euro. Russia launches airstrikes in Syria. Last summer, you know what the big deal was in my office? 600-point drop on Friday, 300-point drop on Monday. Europe, Brexit vote. And I had people call me. I had 12 phone calls. You know what 8 people said? We're having a sale. I said, you're the smart people. You know what 4 people said to me on the phone? What's this going to do to my account? You know what I told them? Nothing. The market will go back up. When? I don't know. But it will. Did the market go back up, yes or no? Sure did. Then you know what I got last fall? And I'm guilty. Everybody ready? What happens if Trump wins? You know what I told him? Not a wing or prayer's chance. Did y'all hear what I said? I got my office. Once we got past Brexit, which was July, people said to me, what do you think if Trump wins? So not a wing or prayer's chance. Oh my gosh, he won. So you know what? Does life go on, yes or no? Can I tell you what your worries are now? Because I just reviewed with Barbara in our Rockville office, and she was very distraught that I don't listen to the news. I quit listening to the news. You want to know why? It's all negative. I don't care what anybody says, it's all negative. Hyped up to get us to do what? Listen to it. It's nothing but junk. So I'm going to give you the worries, as I said to Barbara. You know what they are? I wrote them down in your right-hand column. Look at them. China, currency manipulation, trade. Oh, God. North Korea. The little Caesar's firing what? Nuclear missiles. Or missiles, is he not? With the potential to maybe someday be nuclear missiles. Oh, my gosh. Iraq, not playing by the rules with the nuclear agreement. Trade wars with other countries. America, protectionism. What's the last one? Mexico, we're going to build a wall. So you know what I said to Barbara? In our Rockville office, I said, in 2022, I'm going to call you. And I'm going to ask you what the headlines were for 2017. And you know what you're going to tell me, Barbara? I can't remember. So you know what I'm telling all of you? There will always be headlines. All of these events are what? Negative or positive events? What are they? They're all negative. Quit listening to them. Put on blinders and earmuffs. What's your game plan for putting away your money? What's your game plan? Not Money Magazines, not Forbes, not CNBC, not CNN, not Fox News. They don't care about your money. The only one who cares about your money is you. But do me a favor, have the faith. Don't panic. The world's not coming to an end. Revelations gives no date. Sorry, there is no date. So guess what? Keep the faith. And by virtue of you funding money every 2 weeks to the TSP, you are doing the ultimate dollar cost averaging. You're buying more shares when it's cheaper and less shares when it's what? Expensive. So you should relish when the market goes down like last Wednesday. At 3:30 after I finished meeting with clients, I was in there buying with both hands and both feet because the market dropped 372 points. Now, I didn't know if it was going to be a one-day sale, a two-day sale, a summer sale, start of the summer sale. I had no clue. So far, gang, after last Wednesday, I'm looking pretty good because the market's done nothing but go up since. So far, I'm doing pretty good. Call it luck. I don't care what you call it. I said last Wednesday, the world's not coming to an end no matter what that idiot tweets. It doesn't matter. The world is not coming to an end. So do me a favor, keep the faith. You will make more money over the long term on the growth side of the fence in your TSP. CSI, not F&G. And by the way, if you're in the F fund, get out. Did you all hear what I said? Get out of the F fund. If you're going to sit on that safer side of the fence as we perceive it, it belongs in the G fund. Why? Because Janet Yellen said she's doing what with interest rates? Come on, she's head of the Federal Reserve. Where's she moving interest rates? Higher or lower? Higher. I've been here since '78. For 39 years, interest rates went nowhere but down in my career. The bulk of us in this room have never seen a rising interest rate environment. You haven't been there. We've basically seen where interest rates over time have cascaded lower. When I started, money market funds were paying 18%. Hot diggity dog. Daily liquidity, daily compounding. 18% on your money. Go to war. What a great rate. Now they're what? 0.1 if you're lucky. And I already told you how to get 1.05. So guess what? If the F fund owns, and this is for illustrative purposes only. Did you all hear what I said? For illustrative purposes only. If I'm in the F fund and my perception is it's safe, wrong, wrong, wrong. If current rates today, I'm giving an example. If current rates were 5%, I'm in the F fund with 10 grand. The F fund owns bonds, I'm pretending, that are paying 3%. Everybody with me? Now, the F fund is contractually and legally obligated. They're going to pay me my 3%. Everybody hear what I said? I'm going to get my 3% interest in the F fund. The problem is, what you want to know is, what's the value of my F fund investment? 5% of what number generates $300 a year? Where'd you get the $300 a year, Dave? That's 3% of 10 grand. The answer is $6,000. So your $10,000 bond in the F fund is now worth $6,000. Who takes that hit? Don't we do? Don't we, as investors in the F fund? Yes or no? So what happened to the value of my F fund? It what? It dropped. It dropped. So if you're in the F fund, Janet Yellen has said, most likely 2 more rate increases this year. She's gone from 0% on interest rates, 0. So from 1978 to now, 2016, it went to 0. Now she's gone 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, and she said 2 more this year and probably 3 in 2018. You know where that puts interest rates next year? 2%. Is that a lot higher than where we are now? Yes or no? So you know what's going to happen to the F fund? It's going to continue to get hit on value. Why? Because they still have bonds in there from years ago that are paying what? Far lesser rates of returns. Doesn't mean they're not taking our new contributions and buying better paying bonds. I didn't say they weren't. I just said that your value is going to take a what? Your value is going to take a hit. So I would urge you, get out of the F fund for that portion of your money and go to the what? Go to the G if that's where you want it. And by the way, if you're sitting there in one of the L funds, L Income, L 2020, L 2030, one of those, go on your website and look what percentage you have in the F fund. You're still in the F fund. Had a gentleman yesterday, L 2020, 6+% still in the F fund. It's there. And the closer he marches to 2020, what happens to how much money he has in the F fund? Does it go up or down? Goes up because the perception is I'm getting close to my what? Retirement date, so I want everything safe. Can I tell you all a secret? You can't believe how many folks come in my office and do this. I'm 65, everything has to be safe. Really? My dad died in November, he was 91. Do you know if I didn't have some of the money in growth, did you all hear the operative word I used? What was the operative word I used? Some of his money in growth, we would have never made it. You want to know why? My father had no pension, nothing. Social Security was the check. That was it. Mom's a retired school teacher from Prince George's County. She has a pension and Social Security. $4,200 walked in the door for them. You know what their expenses were? $7,000 a month in the group home. Were we running just a little bit short of cash, yes or no? Thank God I took, you know what bailed my parents out? Their real estate. How many of you think your real estate's going to bail you out? Yes or no? My parents bought their house for $15,000 and sold it for $300,000. That's a 20-bagger. Do you all know what I mean by 20-bagger? They made 20 times their investment. Anybody in here think you're going to make 20 times on the value of your house? What you paid for it, yes or no? Any 20-baggers? Do we think those days are gone? Probably. So guess what? Were it not for their real estate money, they would have been up the creek without a what? Paddle. Okay, so I'm going to warn you, okay, you just can't go, I'm 65, everything has to be safe. You got to have growth. By the way, T. Rowe Price right up the road says the day we retire, you should be minimum 60% growth, 40% fixed. Now, I know it's not T. Rowe Price's money, and we all have a sleep at night factor. I know that. It's not their money. So we all have to do what we're comfortable with. I just don't want you to ignore growth. We're crazy. I hate to tell you if you'd bought FANG. Do you all know who I mean by FANG? Yes or no? Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google stock. Some of you would be long since retired, many years ago, based on what it's worth today, had we bought just a little bit each of FANG. How many of you guessed that Amazon's changing the retail world, yes or no? Oh, yeah. You know what they're going into next? Furniture. And you know what else? Small grocery stores. Jeffrey Bezos is going to tear it a new one. Same with Google. I don't know about Netflix because Hulu and some of the other competitors. Facebook, yeah, they've proved us wrong. So is the world changing, yes or no? You own FANG, by the way. You already own it in your C fund. We do? Yes. Those companies are some of the 500 biggest, are they not? Yes or no? Yes. So do me a favor. Do not ignore growth. The world is not coming to an end. I just dispelled that theory. The day you retire, the one with the most what wins? Most money. Questions you have. I can keep going, gang. I do this seminar for 4 hours. I have limited time today. We have to cover some estate stuff that we promised. Questions, thoughts, comments? Yes, no? Nobody has any questions? I beat you up enough? Yes? Put it away? Nobody has questions? None? Yes, ma'am. Okay, do me a favor. Go in your handout and look for the Social Security page. You should have a page. She asked about Dave. You mentioned that Social Security is taxable. You should have this. It says 2017 Social Security Quick Reference. Everybody see it in your handouts? I forget. It might be on the left side. I can't recall. You should have that. Social Security Quick Reference 2017. In answer to your question, go to the bottom of the page, and it says Provisional Income Thresholds. And it tells you there whether you're single or head of household. You find it? Yes, no? And then it has for married filing jointly and how your Social Security income is taxed when you retire. Okay? Yes, ma'am. You have CSR offset? CSR offset? Yes, ma'am. So you're going to get Social Security and the pension.
Are you better waiting to get your Social Security?
All right, Dave, am I better waiting? Can I pick on me? Can I pick on me? Is that all right? Is partial answer to your question? My goal is to wait until I'm age 70 to take it. Why? Because if I die, and I'm presumed to die what? First or second? First. If I love Patty, and I call it the I love you, if I love Patty, I will wait as long as possible because my check is significantly larger than hers. So the day I die, as you know, Patty gets the larger of the two checks. So by my waiting, Patty will receive a much larger check. Now, there were plate-licking dinners that were offered by every investment advisor this side of the Mississippi until last fall when Mr. Obama changed some rules. And the old rules were, believe it or not, Patty could have taken a Social Security benefit off of me now, let her benefit wait until 70 and continue to accrue 6% from 62 to 66. From 66 to 70, Patty's earning 8%. So meanwhile, Patty delays it. She's taking a check off of me. I'm still working. And at age 70, Patty starts her own and gets a much bigger check than were she to have taken it at 62. Woohoo! Well, Mr. Obama killed that rule unless you were 65 years of age by April 30th. Gone. So now Social Security is a need-based issue. If in doing your retirement calculation, you say to me, Dave, my expenses are X, my income is Y. I'm counting on Social Security as part of that income to fill that void. Then you're telling me you what? You need that income. Then I would tell you from my side of the desk, take it. If you said to me, Dave, I don't need it, I may tell you to wait because from 62 to 66 or 67, depending upon your year of birth, you're earning a guaranteed 6% on your money. Where can we get guaranteed 6 today? Nowhere. From 66 or 67 until age 70, it's a guaranteed 8%. Where can we get guaranteed 8% today? We can't. Now there's one fly in the ointment. You die. Oh my gosh, Dave, I never collected a penny. Oh well, you lose. Right? But I'll pick on Dad and Mom. He died on November 30th. Dad was getting $1,800, Mom was getting $900. Guess what Mom's getting now? $1,800. She gets the larger check of the two. Hot diggity dog. So I think Social Security has now become a need-based issue. If you need it, take it. And there's a gal who used to come from Social Security, and no matter where I lectured, she always lectured before I did. And Fran would tell you, at 62, if you want it, take it. There's only one problem. It's on there, I think, somewhere, about earnings 16,920, isn't it there? If between 62 and 66 I earn more than 16,920 as a contractor, or I go to work for somebody else, oh my gosh, my supplement check's going to be reduced if I'm FERS, or if I'm taking Social Security, it's going to be reduced. Why? Because you're making more than the limit. When's that go away? It goes away when I attain what? Full retirement age, 66, 67. However, you have to watch for that year when you turn 66 or 67, because it says right there, we're at 2017, I can only earn $44,880 without having a reduced benefit until the next year. So you have to be careful. But I still go back to it's need-based. And I'm not going to get waylaid under the current law change that now I have to pay taxes on it. Oh well.
But my question is, it's the offset. CSR is offset by Social Security.
Correct. Your offset program, believe it or not, you can have a nice set of circumstances where your CSR check is rather large, and on top of that you get Social Security. So your double banging of checks, so to speak, double income, can be larger than some folks who are CSRS alone. So you may want to visit on Dave. I'm going to go back and run my expenses and see when it might be most advantageous for me to start on that Social Security element. I can't give you a general answer because I know nothing about you. Okay? But you, in my opinion, have kind of the best of both worlds, because you're going to get the pension plus Social Security, which is larger, as I said, than most CSRS benefits. So great planning. Any other questions? Yes, no? Nothing else? I'll come.
Can we do both traditional?
Pardon?
Can we do both?
Can you do both a Roth and a traditional? Her question was, everybody here? Dave, can I do a Roth and a traditional? Yes, as long as the contribution doesn't exceed $5,500 if I'm under age 50, $6,500 if I'm age 50 or older. So I can't go, woohoo, $5,500 traditional if I'm under 50 and $5,500 Roth. No. Can't go $6,500 I'm under age 50 or 50 or older for traditional and $6,500 for Roth because I'm over age 50. No, can't put 13, can't put 11 in. It's $5,500 or $6,500. Can I do a combination? Yes, you can. Remember, if I make between 118 and 133 as a single filer, I'm pulling a number out of my hat. Out of the $6,500 I can put in because I'm a single filer and my adjusted gross income is between 118 and 133, I'm allowed to put $3,000 in the Roth. Put your $3,000 in the Roth and put the other what? In the traditional. Are you going to yell at me when you retire? No. If you fund both, is there more money than if you just fund one account? Yes. I don't care if you and I both invest at the same place. There's more money by virtue of you doing the full $5,500 or $6,500 versus less. Avail yourself to the greatest extent affordable of every investment that Uncle Sam allows us to. As I teased her earlier, I've never had anybody come in yet and cuss me. I have too much money. It just doesn't happen. So you want to avail yourself. You said something about states, Jim?
No, I was ready to move
Okay.
to states.
All right. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Just to say that man is retired.
Say the man is retired.
The man is retired,
The hubby's retired. Yes, sir.
and the wife is retired also,
Yes, sir. We're both retired.
and he's 70, over 70, she's maxed at 66, whatever, she's maintained her retirement. Can she get half of his until she's 70?
If you were 65 both by April 30th,
No, not being the future now.
no, that's gone. You had to be 65 by April 30th.
I didn't know if it was a wicked issue or not.
No, Mr. Obama killed it. He said, we're not having this double dipping. He killed it. You had to be 65 by April 30th because I was looking at that for me and Patty sitting here going, hot diggity dog, I'm going to tell Patty start early. Take it off of me. Delay her benefit to 70. I'll delay mine to 70. Meanwhile, we're drawing a little bit of a Social Security income, hot diggity dog. Nice program. And he didn't like that loophole. He closed it. There are a bunch of loopholes he closed. For civil service employees who work here, they're allowed to fund something called the Voluntary Contribution Plan. It is not advertised. It's not well mentioned. But for any CSRS employee, they're allowed to put money in the Voluntary Contribution Plan, which goes tax deferred. And the original intent was to give them more money at retirement by increasing their monthly annuity. Well, you now have the ability to put money into the Voluntary Contribution Plan and immediately transfer it to a Roth. What a deal. You can supersize a Roth, like the old McDonald's deal. What do you mean? I'm allowed to put in the Voluntary Contribution Plan if you're CSRS or CSRS offset. No FERS, sorry. Don't yell at me, I'm just a messenger. I don't make the rules. Okay? So the VCP, Voluntary Contribution Plan, is only available to CSRS or CSRS offset. But I can put in as much as 10% of my lifetime earnings here. Holy macaroni. How do I figure that out, Dave? Well, if you're a CSRS, you take your pay stub up at the top where it says cumulative retirement, this agency, and you divide it by 0.07. And you come up with a number. Can I make up a number? $2 million. Holy mackerel, Dave. That means the whole time I've been here at this agency, I've made over $2 million in my lifetime? Yes. So how much can I fund the VCP? $200,000. Holy macaroni. So I can put this money in, Dave, the VCP, and it needs to be done 4 to 6 weeks before you retire. Did you all hear what I said? Needs to be done before you retire. Don't wait until after retirement. You're a day late and a buck short. So you put your 200 grand in. Once Boyer's PA finalizes you, they're going to ask you, what do you want done with your 200 grand? You know what you do? You call me. Why? We're going to open a Roth account. Now you have a Roth. Holy mackerel, I never qualified for a Roth. We always made too much as a married couple. Well, now you're going to have a Roth. Wow. And it's a supersized Roth. Yeah, but remember the rules. That 200 grand in my example has to stay in there for how long? 5 years. It's okay. Dave, I'm already older than 59 and a half. I got that rule licked. So now all I have to do is wait 5 years. Now, Dave, my 200 grand. That money's stuck, isn't it? What's my answer? It's what? Penalty what? It's penalty free because it's my what? It's my contribution. So my 200 grand isn't stuck. I'm penalty free. So you can't argue, I'm not going to do the VCP if I'm CSRS or CSRS offset because I'm going to have this big penalty. No, you're not. You just can't get your what? Your earnings. Your earnings. Holy macaroni, I don't know about you guys. Mr. Obama, sir, wanted to do away with that. Last year in office, he said, I don't like that. I want to do away with it. You know what? Never happened. What a great gift if you're CSRS or CSRS offset. So if you're sitting here today and you didn't raise your hand because you're afraid to, for fear I'd call on you, think about what I just said. You have the ability as a CSRS or CSRS offset to fund the VCP. What a gift. If you need more information, call me. I'll walk you through it. It's very hard for whatever reason to find out information on it. It is not well publicized. It's not well advertised. I don't know why. It's been around forever. You could do as little as $25 out of your paycheck. What a deal. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Okay, well,
Excuse me, I'm have to interject. Can you all please use the microphones because you have regional office employees who want to hear your questions?
Even Paulette, if I repeat it, they said they
can't hear you.
They can't hear me?
So please use the mic right there in the aisle. It'll take them
Okay.
seconds to use that microphone for us. Right there. There you go.
I know for the TSP, there's different options once you retire. Do you want to address a little bit about that? I mean, you can get like an annuity, or you can probably roll it over into an IRA or whatever.
Okay. Your first name is? Tom? All right, Tom said, Dave, the day I retired. Let me keep going. The day I retired, what are my options? Tom, the first option is do nothing. You don't have to do anything. So on the way out the door, Tom, and they're processing me for retirement, I don't have to make any decision on my TSP. I can just leave it. Now, Tom, they better know where you live when you turn what age? 70 and a half, they have to know where you live. By the way, Tom, so you know, TSP cannot find over 7,000 participants. Everybody hear what I said? They currently can't find about 7,000 participants. After a certain number of years, there's a rule on the books or law on the books called escheatment. Did you all notice the middle word? Escheatment? That allows the state to keep the money. Every year, the Baltimore Sun publishes, yay thick, a publication of all the folks they can't find. It's things like the TSP balances, or savings account balances, or maybe an IRS refund. They can't find you. So, Tom, they better darn sight know where you are at 70 and a half. Tom, your next choice is annuitize it. And Tom, your only choice is MetLife. So MetLife, Tom, needs 3 pieces of information. How old are you? How much money do you have, Tom? And today's interest rates. Did you hear what I said, Tom? They want to know how much you have in the TSP, how old you are, why? Because they know how long you're going to live, just so you know, and today's interest rates. And then, Tom, they're going to tell you, and I'm making up a number, Tom, we're going to pay you $1,282 a month the rest of your life, and gosh forbid you die, your bride where you married is going to get checks as well. And you say, hot diggity dog. Tom, I must tell you that you need to go to that website now and look at interest rates on that website. They go back 4 years for the annuity rates. They've never been lower than the last 4 years. So, Tom, my answer to you would be, if MetLife was paying you 18% today, you know what I'd tell you? Run, don't even walk. Annuitize it. Why? Because they're going to pay you 18% on your lump sum money. But, Tom, the rates are where today? Very, very low. They're abysmal. So, yours truly, off the record, I would never annuitize it. Do you hear what I said? I wouldn't do it. That's me, Tom. I'm not going to lock in interest rates because, Tom, Janet Yellen is doing what with rates we said earlier? She's raising them. So, Tom, next year you're going to come back. You're going to call Birmingham, Alabama, since New Orleans flooded. You're going to talk to the folks and say, I annuitized my TSP money with MetLife, and I noticed interest rates have gone up, so I noticed that I could now get a larger check. So if you folks would be gracious enough to give me the larger check, I'd appreciate it. Once they stop laughing on the phone, Tom, they're going to tell you, you locked it in last year. Sorry, you're done. Have a nice day. So, Tom, this is not the desired vehicle of choice as far as I'm concerned. So, Tom, your third choice is roll it to an IRA. Now, Tom, I like this. Why? I don't know about you, Tom, the day I retire, and I have a 401k, Tom, so my choices are like yours. So my 401k is no different than your TSP. I don't know about you, Tom, the day I retire, I want to be in control of my money. Me. So with this, Tom, I have more choices. You do? Yes, I have over 13,000 choices. You know what I have here? C, S, I, F, G, and the L funds. I have far more choices here. I potentially, Tom, have better returns here. And, Tom, I have more flexibility. What do you mean, Dave, you have more flexibility? Tom, you ready? I have to buy windows. I'm retired. I contact the TSP and tell them send me a check because I'm buying windows. Oh my gosh, next year in 2018 the car dies. So I call the TSP up again and I say, send me another partial distribution. You know what the TSP tells me? You're only allowed one partial distribution. Sorry. Well, I've got to buy the car. You take it all. Do you hear what I said, Tom? You now have to take the balance. Okay? So, Tom, in an IRA, you call me, you have the IRA with me. You call me this year and say, I need to do windows. Okay, how much do you want? Dave, I need X for the windows. Tom, do you want us to withhold federal and state and local taxes? Yes, I do. I don't want a Gomer Pyle surprise at tax time. Okay, I'll withhold the taxes, I'll mail you the check. Next year, Tom, you call me and tell me you need to buy a car. You know what I ask you, Tom, all over again? Tom, how much you need? You want me to withhold federal or state and local taxes? You're not going to hear from me, Tom, on the other end of the phone. You can only do one partial, Tom. Sorry, I can't help you out. I got to mail you the whole account. So, Tom, you have more flexibility here. Because, Tom, you can do whatever you want inside a self-directed IRA. IRS, Tom, hopes you double, triple, quadruple, quintuple. The more money you make inside that IRA, Tom, the more money you're going to pay in what? Taxes. It's okay. It's a great country. Why wouldn't you want to quadruple, quintuple your money? Why not? That's what it's all about. I'll come get your question. Does that help you? You have more flexibility.
Do we have questions for those on the line?
All right, let me check. She had a question in the back, and then I'll come see about it on the line. State your name.
Chris,
Chris.
is there ever a scenario where it makes sense to leave money in the TSP if you are under age 59 and a half? And can you basically just average the administrative costs to your money in the TSP versus moving to a 401k or
Is it
IRA?
K or C?
See,
See? All right, Chris. Your first question was, Dave, is it ever advantageous to leave money in the TSP? Chris, most employers offer within our 401ks or TSP, Chris, if we are age 55 and separated from service, there is no 10% penalty to take money out. So, Chris, should you feel that emergency is going to rise, you may want to leave some money in there where you don't have to worry about a what? Penalty if I'm underage what? Because the IRA, Chris, is 59 and a half. Okay? So that's one of the negatives on the IRA. Okay? Age 55 and separated from service. Your second question was, Dave, costs. All right, Chris, on the TSP, your costs are on the website, and they're on average about 0.36% for all the funds, which is very, very cheap. Okay? One of the cheapest. By the way, Chris, it is the biggest 401k plan, quasi-401k plan, if you will, in the country. It is run by BlackRock, administers the plan and runs it, so it's very, very cheap, and it's indexes. About the only thing I've found, Chris, that beats it is ETFs. Do you know what ETFs are? Okay. ETFs are exchange-traded funds. So this stands for exchange-traded funds. Does everybody in here know what mutual funds are? It's what your CSI, F&G are, in essence, a mutual fund. Okay, so the C fund is the pool of 500 stocks. The biggest complaint, Chris, about mutual funds is, I don't know the price until after 4 p.m. because they value all the stocks or positions in the mutual fund, come up with the value after 4 o'clock when the market closes. And the lack of liquidity during the day were the biggest complaints about mutual funds. So exchange-traded funds were created to solve two problems: create liquidity in the marketplace. So these trade like a stock. Really? When they were first issued, the goal was to have 25 different stocks. So Chris, if you said, Dave, I want an energy ETF, it might be all energy stocks. Not might be, will be. If you said, I want retail ETF, it's all the retailers. So you're picking sectors. So it was a way to get liquidity, sectorize the market, Chris, and hone in on what you like as well, and yet provide the liquidity because it's traded during the day. Okay, so it has a value much like a stock. The cost of ETFs are next to nothing. Vanguard has ETFs that trade for 0.05 cents. I have a little program I've put together, Chris, where the expenses are less than 0.10. Is that cheaper than 0.36? Yes. Now, Chris, it's all ETFs, exchange traded funds. Why? They're cheap. What I don't like about them, Chris, is the same thing Mr. Bogle doesn't like at Vanguard funds. People are using them as trading vehicles. They were not designed to be that. It was an alternative to provide liquidity. Just like mutual funds, they were supposed to be a long-term investment. But you've got hedge fund managers, you've got individuals such as ourselves, Chris, who trade them. I mean, come on, Chris, I know people who at the federal government are trading their TSP account. Really? You're supposed to be working. I lecture at Verizon Corporation. They were trading their Verizon stock all day, buying it and selling it. So you know what Verizon did to them? They cut off their trading in their 401k by 12 noon. You know what Verizon discovered? The productivity went up after 12 noon. Why? Because they're sitting there looking at their account and they're playing their account before noon. No different. You guys sit next to them. I know you do. You all sit next to financial gurus in your cubicles who are more than happy to tell you what to do with whose money? Yours. Never theirs. You want to know why? They don't have any. So it's all about you. I think this is what you should do. Really, why would you listen to them? Dollars to donuts, their net worth is less than yours. So why would I ever listen to anybody whose net worth is less than mine? Not in a million years. I have a cardinal rule. I'm not listening to any of you in this room if your net worth is less than mine. Why would I? What, are you kidding me? Experience is the best teacher. I can make mistakes with the best of them just as all of us can. All right. You said, Paulette, ask about questions from the field. Any questions from the field? Yeah. All right, can we cover wills, trusts, estates real fast? John, can you do it in about 10 minutes? Just cover the basics. Pay attention. My dad just died. Okay, November 30th. By the way, just had a client last summer, died with absolutely no will. If you talk to the two sisters, they would tell you it is a living hell. Okay, so I'm going to warn you, as John's going to tell you, if you don't have a will as you sit here today, it's okay. Wherever you reside, whether it's Maryland or Pennsylvania, Virginia, wherever you're from, guess what? The state of Maryland has a will for you. It's okay. As we sit here today, it's perfectly fine that you don't have a will. Go ahead. Thanks for staying, gang. Thank you. If you like this, tell this lady that you want us back, because this grows by word of mouth only. Doesn't it, Paul? So while John's getting ready, if you like this and you want more, you need to tell others back. This room should be standing room only. There should be a line to get in here. A waiting list to attend this thing. Why? Because the day you retire, you're not going back. You're done. Go ahead.
So he pretty much cut me off at the knees on time. We'll have to speed through this. Hopefully you guys can tell I'm at a different stage of life than Dave, so I'm at the oh my gosh stage, right? So I'm married 23 years. I have an 18-year-old, a 14-year-old, and I'm at hopefully the biggest outflow stage of life. So Dave's given you all the tools on how to save, put money aside, and so forth, but what we need to talk a little bit about is how can we protect that money? Most of us think we're immortal, and mostly the men in the room think they're immortal. But we put together plans constantly, and we have one right up here where you can see, it's called retirement sensitivity analysis. How old are you? How much money do you have saved? What's the rate of return we can expect? And the last one on here is life expectancy. So we try and run it to age 90, 95, and the gentleman in the room always says, I'm not living that long. So I always say, well, tell me when you're going to die, and we'll run it to zero on the day you die. All right? So I'm going to give you just a few tools quickly that you can kind of do on your own to make sure that you've kind of covered your bases. One of the things you can do is do a physical inventory. So go through inside and outside of your house, anything that's $100, and take an inventory. That's your home, your car, vehicles, collectibles, anything along those lines. So what you're kind of doing is you're creating an inventory of things. And some, as a side note, for homeowners insurance, some people will go and videotape everything in case something happens to their home. You've got a videotape on file, so that's another tip that you can use as well. Physical inventory, our bank accounts, our IRAs, life insurance. What I'm trying to get you to do is put together a list of physical, not physical things like IRAs, but you want the other person to know. You want your spouse to have this information. Usually in a relationship, one of us is usually the person that handles the financial aspects of things. And sometimes the other person, the spouse in the relationship, if you're married, doesn't always know all this information. One of the other ones I think is important as well is if you put together a username and password, websites, information that you go to, whether it's bank accounts. These are things you can put in a safe. I have a safe deposit box at home. Basically, it's a fireproof safe you can buy. It's to keep all your, your good things in there, that your passports, any of this information that I'm having you put together now, okay? The other thing you can use is credit card debt. Anything that you have on credit cards or other accounts, put that information down as well. That's information. Again, the goal here is if something happens to you, like for example, the one example I can think of right now is Prince. I don't think he ever thought he was going to die, but unfortunately, unless he's got some will in that magic vault of his, we don't know how his assets are going to get split up. So this is to make sure in case something happens to you, we can find out information. Put together a list of charities or different associations you have, AAA, college, things like this. Lots of times you'll find out that your beneficiaries might have, you could have insurance for them. It's free sometimes. AAA will give it to you. So again, your beneficiary might benefit from that as well. All right. Let's see. Don't forget about IRAs, TSPs, retirement accounts. Make sure that you guys, this one's real important, look at your beneficiaries. Lots of us may have left a 401k behind at another firm, or something's happened. So go back and check your beneficiaries. Make sure that that information is updated, okay? Real important. The other one, let's take a thing about bank accounts. If we've got a joint bank account and something happens to one of us, the spouse is fine. If we have an individual account, there's something called TOD, which is transfer on death. This is a way to avoid probate. So something happens to you, you're basically giving instructions right off the bat of, I want these assets to go in this direction. It doesn't have to go through probate, which can be a long, drawn-out process and sometimes can be expensive. TOD is normally on financial firms like us. POD, payable on death, lots of times can be your bank accounts. So check those as well, okay? Another thing is don't put your kids on a deed, right? Lots of times we want to give our kids property in some sort. If you do this, and I have to go through this quickly, but they're going to lose the stepped up cost basis. So quick example, Dave's parents bought his house for, was it $25,000, sold it for $300,000, in that range. If they had put his name on it, he wouldn't have gotten a stepped up cost basis if they had passed away before he sold it. All right, so a good example there. Wills. So a will is probably the cheapest way, the most efficient way, without doing something like either a revocable trust or irrevocable life insurance trust. A will is something you put together. They're just instructions that say, I want this to happen in the event of my death. Anyone over the age of 18 should have one. You guys should review it at least every 5 years. If something were to change, you just don't have to go back and get the whole will redone. Codicil will take care of it. It's just an update form of instructions for whoever your administrator is. You want to come to us, an estate attorney, let's say every 5 years, to kind of review those items as well, okay? And as Dave said, if you don't have a will, Maryland has one for you. The other important ones are healthcare directives. So it's just something you're going to put in place should something happen to you from a health perspective. You've kind of put instructions in place that says how things are going to be handled. And it might also be whom you want to take care of that for you. Doesn't always mean it's the spouse sometimes. They might be too emotionally involved in something like that. And then simplify your finances would probably be the last one I would say. So keep it simple. Most people think diversification is 15 different accounts. It's not exactly what that means by diversification. When you retire, having all these accounts. If you've got multiple IRAs, that means required minimum distributions and from 3 different firms or locations. So simplification is make sure you know where your assets are, make sure your beneficiaries are updated, not 15 different places. We can diversify in 1 account or 2 accounts at 1 firm, but that'll make it easy. So I apologize for running through that quickly. Do you guys have any quick questions on anything? Go ahead. The other one Dave was setting was with financial power of attorney as well. So that's in case something happens where you're not able to make those financial decisions, you've got someone in place, whether it's a rental property or anything like that, you can get that in place as well. So the will, healthcare directive, and a financial power of attorney, probably the 3 most important. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, can you speak to life insurance?
Sure. So there's different stages, Dave was saying, as we go through life. When you're younger, lots of times the first thing you want to put in place is term insurance. Right? It's usually the cheapest that we can afford, but we put it in place. Lots of times that's going to end right around the age of 65 or somewhere around that age if we've set it up properly. From there, though, what's really important is Dave's taught you all these ways, or we're teaching you ways to save money, right? But you've got homeowners insurance, you've got car insurance, you have life insurance. So the next stage we call is long-term care. And specifically what I like to think of that as is portfolio insurance. You've taken all your life and you've saved, but what happens if something happens? Dementia, Alzheimer's, that's the one could take quite a bit of money, to say the least. So long-term care is something I would say at the age 55, you could do it younger if you're ready, but you start looking at that, and that's probably one of the most important things. Some people are not, insurance is not their favorite thing. It's just something that there's like, I don't want insurance. My idea or our idea is that I'm going to educate you on long-term care. If that's something you don't want or you feel like you don't want to do, that's fine, but I don't want you to turn around at 75 and say, why didn't you tell me about long-term care? So I think from an insurance standpoint, long-term care is a necessity. And I think my example was my mom called me and said, oh my gosh, John, my long-term care just went up by X. I said, do me a favor, don't ever call me with this question again. I said, you're always to pay it, and don't ever stop, because if I had to price it for her today, she wouldn't even be in the same ballpark from an expense standpoint. But long-term care is something we can help with. Sure.
We'll be here for questions.
Okay. Any questions?
Any questions on the line? Well,
Can you hear me?
yes, go ahead.
Can you speak to life insurance as a means for a retirement plan? Like a cash value life insurance plan?
We can, maybe we should.
There are alternatives.
Dave was just saying there's better alternatives. And again, I think that might be a little bit more of a one-on-one situation. Maybe we could talk about that
Right.
offline, I think.
And we're a little over time.
Okay.
So that was a lot of really great information. I want to thank you guys so much for coming out today and doing this for us. The Division of Pay and Benefits, to everybody that helped out, thank you so much. If anybody needs any handouts that was on the line today, you can contact HR Center Help Desk at cms.hhs.gov. And also, if you can complete the survey that's in your folder and let the help desk know how we did today. And like Dave said, if you guys want him to come back again, please make that a suggestion and send it to us, and we'd really like to know that. But thank you and have a really great day.